Chapter 4. There's an awkwardly long wait before Dr. Sim arrives, Bastian interrogating me about everything, from the perils of caffeine to the body of the boy in the snow. The ground is frosty as I sit and wait, snuggling myself into the jacket which Stan so kindly left with me. It's oddly comforting. "How are you?" asked Dr. Sim, striding towards us and slapping his hands together to get them warm. There is no mistaking that singy-song County Kerry accent. "'Tis damn frosty this morning, so." The vapour from his breath leaves a misty trail of frozen particles almost immediately. He greets Bastian and Bianco with a friendly handshake, congratulates Bianco on the new baby, and expresses a strong desire for a nice hot cup of espresso from the coffee shop as soon as we're done here. "I take it this is the fella," he says, tipping his head sideways. "Damn shame that." "Miss Cook," says Bastian, raising his voice louder than need be, "please inform the doctor of the circumstances surrounding the boy's unfortunate end." But," I exclaim, "surely that's your job, as police officer. What if I miss something important out?" Bastian raises himself up tall and sucks in his stomach. "As I thought," he said, "all talk and no action, just as I knew you would be. You millennials are all the same. Bone idle when it comes to the faintest snifter of having to do some actual work. You don't get to where I am without a bit of effort, imagining yourself as an expert in criminal affairs." "Shh." "Well," says Dr. Sim, "be fair to say there's a bit of a difference between getting to study forensic psychology in university and fancying yourself as the lead expert on a real case. Sure, she just happened to be in the right place at the wrong time. Just as well she was, if you ask me. Who knows what would have happened if it was one of the new tourists went discovering the body." But Bastian isn't listening to a word that Dr. Sim says, because he's already made up his mind that he can't understand a word the doctor says. "What did he say?" he asked me, standing between the two of us, his back to Dr. Sim. I can see Dr. Sim rolling his eyes as he waves a hand telling me not to bother translating for him. Instead, raising his voice, talking very slowly, and moving close towards Bastian's face. "I said," says Dr. Sim, "that it's a good job we've got a great detective like you on the case. A man of your standing. Sure, I bet every ski resort in Austria is thinking, if only we had a great man like Bastian on our police force." "Oh, well," says Bastian, smiling, "I like to do my part. For the community. But let's not sing my praises, she'll only embarrass me. How about we catch our killer instead?" "Sure thing, you'll not catch me dilly-dallying, officer." Dr. Sim crouches to the ground and watches the body for a moment, shuffling around it like a crab as he takes it in from different angles. He says, tilting his head to the side and asking us not to move a muscle. He opens up his medical kit and pulls out his stethoscope, moving it methodically over the boy's skin. Bastian, growing impatient at the thought of all the tourists, most likely waiting for access to the slope so they can catch the chairlift to the top. "I don't mean to rush you, Doctor," he says. "Only—" "Shh," says Dr. Sim, lifting up a finger to silence Bastian. "Wait." Bastian flushes red, angry at being given orders. He's about to speak, to protest at his being the only one in charge of the crime scene, only he's interrupted by something else. There's a noise from the body, small movements from the chest as Dr. Sim positions his ear above the boy's mouth. "That's so," says Dr. Sim, comforting the boy and informing him that help is on the way, that he'll have him sorted out in no time. The boy is not dead after all. "Toffee while we wait?" asked Dr. Sim, handing around a small stash of sweets from his jacket pocket. Bianco instinctively reaches out to take one, but on catching the twitch of Bastian's breakdancing moustache, he thinks better of it. "A wee birthday treat from my mammy," says Dr. Sim. "Oh," I say, "happy birthday! Anything planned?" Dr. Sim shakes his head, and I pop one of the sweets in my mouth, making a mental note to bake a surprise cake for him later. "No," says Dr. Sim, "there's nothing more we can do for the boy, other than wait for the mountain rescue team to collect him with their truck." Bastian, meanwhile, is less personable than he was before, disappointed even at no longer having a murder inquiry on his hands to big himself up. "I wonder who shot him?" I ask Dr. Sim, nodding my head in the direction of the boy. I feel sad about the boy, sad that he likely saw the face of his shooter, sad because I don't know him or what his name is, even after spending so much time on the slopes around my shifts at the cafe, and I'm sad because I missed the fact that I mistook him for being dead. Dr. Sim looks deep in my eyes, his way of engaging me in conversation as years of practice as a medic inform him of my troubled thoughts and doubts of my abilities. "Don't beat yourself up," he says, handing me another toffee. It was difficult for me to see he wasn't dead, and I've seen a lot of death in my profession. Between the cold and the position of the bullet in his neck, there's no wonder you couldn't feel a pulse. I couldn't detect it either at first. It's rare, but it does happen. You did everything right, no matter what Misery Guts over there says. He pulls a face, mimicking Bastien's expressions and twitching moustache at me, and it's hard not to feel a bit better as Dr. Sim does his best to make me laugh. There's a long silence, sitting, waiting for the team to arrive, thoughts of being taken to the police station by Bastien playing over and over in my mind, being interrogated for a crime that I just happened to stumble across, which has absolutely nothing to do with my being on the slopes. And thoughts of the girl, with the broken snowboard and no ski boots, and of the note Nicholas showed me before I left the chalet this morning, and my joking about Nicholas being in the woods. But it's okay, because it was just the two of us talking, bantering, Dan and me, out here alone on the slopes where no one could hear us talking about Nicholas taking up shooting for his Olympic biathlon trials. And I know what we've got to do, because if Bastien gets wind of Nicholas being on the slopes with a gun, that'll be the end of Nicholas's Olympic Games, the end of Bastien's attempts at catching the real shooter. I have to tell Dr. Sim everything I know. "What is it, Maddie?" asked Dr. Sim, staring at me, a look of grave concern on his face.